Victoria Lewis with today's Monday's Dojo. So welcome in. We've got a big crowd today. We've got Kristen. She's all the crowd we need. No, actually, this will be really pertinent, I think, to you. So today's topic is feelings. Surprise, surprise. So, and what I mean by that, feelings, we're talking about feelings during AEP, right? There's lots of feelings and emotions, a wide range of emotions during AEP. This is your first AEP, correct, Kristen?
Yes.
This is going on now my fifth AEP, and the emotions, they never stop. It's always from one end of the spectrum to the other. No matter how short you've been doing it or how long you've been doing it, emotions is something that you have to deal with. So there can be emotions when that are related to the call volume, such as when it seems like it's slow time, there's a lull, when there's no calls coming in, there's nothing to do, but what do you do when it's slow? Just call T65 people
Just
and
keep ringing until you get somebody.
Yeah, maybe, brush up on your script or ask questions. That's a good time to do that. Also feelings about how when it's overwhelming, sometimes the calls, like sometimes they'll all come at the same time and you kind of feel like, oh crap, there's only one of me. I can only grab so many of these calls, right? You've experienced a little bit of that,
Yeah.
I would imagine at this point. And then sometimes that it makes you feel a little overwhelmed, a little anxious, maybe like you almost are tempted to rush the client that you have on the phone, right? You have to kind of hold those feelings at bay, because if you do let yourself feel rushed during that time, you can lose a sale just by the pure fact of doing that, right? So what do we say? Love the one you're with, right? Regardless of what's going on in the background, phones are ringing, people are running around, putting things on the board, asking questions. You just have to focus and just try to, stay on the course and not rush it and do as you normally would. So tell me about some emotions that you've gone through here so far during AEP, Kristen.
I'd say the biggest emotion is like being on the phone with a client and not knowing where to go next. And so you just feel like overwhelmed and stressed, and then all your senior agents are on the phone, so you don't know who to contact and reach out to. I'd say that's the biggest thing that I've dealt with so far.
Yeah, you probably felt like a little bit of anxiety?
Yeah.
Probably, a little overwhelmed maybe. Yeah, and so what are some things, I guess some things that we can help with that would be, like I've told people that I'm always available by Slack, even if I'm on the phone, which is our internal messaging system. I am able to be on the phone and also message people back and forth. So if you ever need that, I can support you in that way. So that's one thing I can do to help. But yeah, that's a common thing, especially when you're a newer agent, just getting in and you're learning, and suddenly your mentor is just not available for you. And it takes a little more problem solving skills on your end, right?
Yeah.
And you have to use be as calm and collected as possible, right? And I know it's tempting to schedule a call back, right? But avoiding that and trying to troubleshoot it yourself sometimes helps, or reaching out to your mentor by Slack, or trying to stall sometimes helps, I think, right? You feel like you're pretty good at stalling people?
I feel like, I can just change the topic to traveling, or everybody loves talking about traveling, or just whatever about their hometown or whatever, just to get them to talk about something else other than Medicare.
Right, and that's a great talent to have, to stall when either you're waiting for someone to help you, or stall as you're looking up information for yourself. It's a great talent to have, and it can help alleviate anxiety of feeling, when it's shorthanded, like when people are sick or people are just not available. And that's leads me to a second feeling of feeling sick or feeling run down. That's an easy feeling to have during AEP. Sometimes when you have thrown yourself into work, you know that this is the money-making time. This is time to be here early, to stay late, work on Saturdays. It's easy to feel run down, which then it opens up yourself and your immune system to getting sick, which is something that we have been experiencing on the floor. We were just talking about Kristen. Jacob's sick. Justice is sick.
I just came back.
Right. You just came back from being sick. And that is stress inducing as well. Feeling, first of all, stress can cause yourself to become sick, but then also being sick and not being able to be here and be productive is also stressful.
Yeah.
So, there's not, like in your case, without getting too much into it, there's not much you can do about it, right? So, what kind of feelings did you go through when you had to be out, it was something that was out of your control? How did you feel about that?
That sucked. I was really bored.
Right.
Every day I was like, Jacob, like, can I just come to work? He was like, no, like, you can't.
Right. Exactly.
But it just felt like there was really nothing I could do besides focus on myself and try and get better so I could be back. But
yeah, that's all you can do, right? And I think it's nice, though, an element of stress is taken away when you work for an agency that's not pushing you to come back when it's too soon, I think, or making you feel guilty that you're sick. I've worked for places like that. I'm sure you have too.
yeah,
That make you feel bad for taking off for being sick. That just makes things worse. Typically, it adds stress to when you're trying to rest, you can't because you're worried about
paranoid about what's going to happen when you go back to work.
yeah,
and all that.
yeah. Are you going to have a job to come back to, or are you going to come back to, people looking differently at you because you took time off to take care of yourself? So that's the nice thing I feel like here we just kind of, does it bring a little more stress and readjustment here in the office? Yeah, but we can deal with it. But we would rather you go home, take care of yourself, do what you need to do to get better, and come back when you're not contagious or you're feeling up to working. Then because we had a COVID outbreak early August, late July here in the office before you got here, and I think right before then maybe people in the office had been we're trying to do the whole thing where they were trying to come in and just be tough and be strong, and it really backfired with all of us. I think
So
the
everybody
lesson,
gets sick.
right, exactly. Just about, a large portion of the office got sick. And so we kind of learned a really valuable lesson, which was, look, if you're sick, you're feeling symptoms of being sick, just stay home. And really it's caring about your coworkers and your friends.
Not spreading it.
Exactly. I know I have an elderly family member at home that I was terrified of her getting sick, and she did. Fortunately, we got her vaccine or her antibiotics in her, and she did okay. But you just never know. Not only you're exposing your coworkers, but their family members who might be.
You don't know who they have at home. Like my boyfriend has a whole bunch of medical issues, so I ended up getting COVID last December and brought it home to him, and he was in the hospital pretty much the whole time because of his other asthma and all the other medical issues, and I didn't know it would affect him like that. So I didn't know.
Yeah, and he's your own boyfriend. You didn't realize it would affect him like that. And,
exactly.
Meek, if I had come into the office sick, I wouldn't have realized that. But kind of you have to realize that when you're feeling sickly or sick symptoms, that you kind of have to think beyond yourself and realize there might be people who are maybe immunocompromised or are dealing with health issues or might be more susceptible to getting sick or when they contract something like that. So you just kind of have to be mindful and about stuff like that. So that's a lesson learned, but that's why I think right now we're more vigilant about people who are feeling poorly, feeling sick, saying, look, I'd rather you just stay home, get better, then bring it up here to the whole floor, and then half the sales staff is gone. So that's one thing that we deal with as the staff aspect of it, right? And then it just can cripple the whole office if half the staff is out, right? So that's that can bring stress. Let's see what else can bring stress or different feelings, emotions. Maybe feeling like you are limited on taking time off. Sometimes I feel like tenured agents know that this is our crunch time. This is our nose to the grindstone time. So during the slow season, we are just working our 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, taking the weekends to um, be with our families and friends and do whatever it is we like to do, relax, we'll take naps. Love me a good nap for sure. So that's what I do during the slow times, so that I can feel stress free and feel like I have a good work life balance. That my kids see me all as much as possible. Personally, sure, your boyfriend, wants to see you. Same here. But then, we know we have to, it's an anticipation for AEP when we are really hitting it hard. Although it can still feel like, in the middle of it that you want to take some time off. So sometimes people, sometimes it's possible and sometimes it's not, but sometimes that's a little anxiety inducing itself, knowing that really there's not much time for time off during AEP. But I think as you experience more and more AEPs, you'll be able to be more and more prepared for that mentally and physically, and preparing your family for it. I know that's what I do. My family knows already at this point during AEP, don't call me, don't bother me, don't schedule me for parties or events. This is my money making time, and they respect that and they know that. Or relatives who are trying to reach out, say, hey, I don't even call me. You know what time this is. So, that sometimes, although you feel, what does he get, FOMO, right? You're missing out a little bit sometimes, I think, when you're working so hard. I do have friends and family members that are going to things that are maybe during the weekday, like a school night, if you will, or the weekend. And I feel like I can't attend, and sometimes I get that feeling, but usually I know it's going to make more sense in the end to just focus on work. But I get it. You feel a little left out sometimes because pretty much if you're not in the insurance business, this is not the busy time of year for anybody for any reason. It's not tax time. It's not, there's no particular, in school, it's not a busy time. Actually, it's probably less busy because of the holidays. Yes, kids.
Everybody's on vacation.
Right, teachers are taking off, so it's actually their kind of relaxed time. So it's a little hard sometimes for this to be our busy, crazy season, and when we're having to stay focused, when others are feeling like they're kind of in chill mode.
Having your phone blow up all day.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, no, I don't want to know what you're doing after work. I don't want to know that you're having a good old time. Good for you. Just don't think of me. Don't worry about me or tell me. I don't want to hear it. So, I'd rather not know. So, I'm like, just don't worry. I won't feel left out. I've got stuff to do. So
busy.
Exactly. What about, so I know sometimes now family members will feel left out sometimes because you're busy and things like that.
My parents, ever since I moved out, they feel extremely left out, and I'm like, okay, I work, I go home, I eat, take a shower, sleep, I don't know what else you want from me. I'm like, I see y'all on the weekends. They're
you're
like,
not
no,
their little girl anymore.
Yeah, they're like, but you're not here all the time. I'm like, oh well, I'm an adult now.
Right, that's right. They of all people should know what an adult is.
Exactly,
life is like, especially now. So, and I kind of feel that same way about my son who's 16. He goes to school and he works all the time, and but right, it's hard sometimes seeing him be away and working. That's a little stressful too. So not only is he working and away from home, but then I'm also in my busy season. So it's hard to cross paths much with your own kid. Sometimes your
make
own
sure you have the
family.
same time off and all that.
Yeah. So sometimes that can be a little sad, but we just we take the money that we make during our busy time and we blot our tears, and it'll be okay. You like that one, Adrian? Yeah, it's okay. They sop up the tears. And also from the stress, the oil in the face, they blot.
Oil absorbing
dollar bills are good for blotting the oil. So
that's hilarious.
So I don't cry about it too much. So anyways, that's how I look at it. But also, I think sometimes, from my perspective as a mentor, new mentor-ish, I would say, is it's also stressful because now a lot of agencies are not bringing on new people or new agents because it's just the hardest time to do that. It's kind of a little cray cray to be bringing on new agents at this time, but we do it. And that can bring a challenge. That's stressful to me. We have really wonderful new agents like yourself, Kristen, who you catch on quickly, and you're just hard at work when when it calls for it, and you study and you know how to talk to people and you know how to stall when there's it's shorthanded as far as um, help is concerned. But personally, it's been a little stressful, but it kind of comes with the gig, just as another little element of stress feelings. But I didn't think it would work, honestly, but it's working. Where it's just finding that balance between my own sales and then helping you guys. And just having to kind of rearrange a little bit, I think is just what it's taking. And also just try to be cognizant of the stress level, trying to keep it low, because I think it's easy for you guys to feel it when Jacob and I are stressed out. And we don't want you guys to feel that you can't come to us because we're stressed out or overworked or overwhelmed. I always want people to feel like they can come to us if they need us. So I think too, it's also a test of having thicker skin on your part, Kristen, and the new agents having thicker skin, because the answers will be less, I think, less cognizant of feeling and being nice and saying it in a nice, longer explanation way, and the explanations of things are longer and more in depth. It was more like just a short answer, and it's nothing having to do with you or how we feel about you. It's just like we feel like we can get you shoot you a quick answer, and that's all I can say before I have to jump on this call, or I have like 10 things going on in my head and I can like quickly jump out to give you an answer, and it's not a nice feel good answer. It's just a quick short version of it. So I think it's just, like I said, a testament to having thick skin and realizing that's not personal. It's just a matter of that we're stretched so thin that's we want to answer your questions and give you what you need, but it's going to be the brief version of it, right? And to just take it for what it is and not read into it or think that we don't care about you anymore, or that we don't just absolutely love you, because we do. It's just we just are just trying to get you what we can in the very short time that we have to give it to you. So I don't know, do you feel like the mood or the emotions or the feelings have changed in the office ever since it got real busy? Because I know you came in right before AP,
a week before.
Yeah. And I think you noticed maybe it was slow and it was chill, and we all had time to talk and talk about our feelings and how the job is going, and training and script memorization. There was time for all that, but then EP comes and it's like, okay, it's down to business time. Right?
I would say like the first 2 days, like I could tell it was stressful for everybody because everybody was running around, and like I'd say everybody was not a great mood, but it was noticeable. But like we all made it through it together. We used help from coworkers and mentors and all that. We made it through, and I would say like now, like I wouldn't say it's like normal, but like it's not. I can't like see everybody stressed like I could before, where everybody's just doing their business, doing their thing, asking for help when they need it. But I also really like that we do have such a big floor, because I have multiple different coworkers that one I can practice with, go to help, or whatever. There's a lot of different resources.
Yeah, exactly. Even if somebody's not necessarily a mentor, they're tenured agents themselves, and
Brad still answers my questions all the time.
Exactly. He's a wealth of information, right? And he makes himself available. He's the type of, he's not going to come typically and try to correct you or go and try to answer your question, but he will always be there if he's off phone to answer your question. I think most of the other agents are that way too, and we've also prepped them for, hey, look, Jacob and I are spread, and Frank is spread pretty thin, so just make sure you're extra available to these people if they need your help, and make them feel like that they can come to you. And so it sounds like that's been a success there, which is wonderful. That makes me feel better about that. Sure. Yeah, and these people are, like I said, a wealth of information. If you're going to want to be in a place that has great resources to go to, it's going to be this place. I've worked at an agency where it's just nothing but a bunch of new people. All they can do is go to each other to try to figure it out. And we're all giving each other wrong answers, or the most
nobody
confident
knows the
wrong
answers.
person, tells what answer they think, and you don't know if it's right or not, or you find out you gave somebody a wrong answer, a client a wrong answer, and oh gosh, you got to backtrack and go correct it, or sometimes you get lucky and it's right, but a lot of times it doesn't go well. But here, everyone, just about the majority of the agents here are tenured agents, and they know what they're talking about. They know where to go to look for the information to help, and you're going to get some solid answers. And even one of us to jump on the phone with you to try to problem solve, because as you've learned by now that every call is different, every situation is different. No two calls are the same. You will come across probably every single day just about a brand new situation or a brand new question that the client has. But eventually those will start coming. They'll start repeating themselves, the similar situations, and then you'll be able to feel empowered with the help that you got from another agent to answer those questions, because eventually similar situations start coming up. And you'll be able to problem solve through it, which is good, makes you feel less stressed, right? And less in need of a mentor for every little thing, right? So you feel more confident about that, I would say. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Good. More like you can fly on your own, which is a great feeling.
Yes.
We're talking about feelings today. So good. And I feel like you specifically, Kristen, have just really shown your stuff as far as I really feel like, and not only just me, but Jacob and Frank all feel like you are going to be very successful in this business, because you can keep your feelings in check and not let them affect you negatively and things like that. Because we've had agents that it just doesn't work out because they feel some kind of way as far as like when we're giving them quick answers, or before, like I'm usually a pretty nice person and I try to explain things. I'm a very caring, loving, warm person when it's slow, but when it's, crunch time and all I can do is bark out an answer for you to try to get that to you. Sometimes people take that as I'm not so nice anymore, or maybe I don't have the patience anymore. That's not the case. It's just I go into
you're busy.
I go into AEP mode. This is my money making mode. It's a special time for me that I just go into this just kind of this mindset of I'm just gonna buckle down and stay in the zone. And I can be staying in the zone. I can answer your question, but it's not going to be a nice comforting long explanation. It's going to be the quick one, or some people have felt overwhelmed. Have you felt overwhelmed at all at this point? It didn't seem like it.
Not really, no.
It really does not seem like it to me, which is an awesome trait to have, to not let yourself get too overwhelmed, because some agents, it happens and they can't handle it. They feel overwhelmed. They feel stressed out. They feel anxious. They feel when they're not getting the support that they're used to during the slow times, that they just can't handle it. And that's, and I think that will kick out a lot of agents just on their own. It'll work themselves out. And that's a shame, because I guess, if you just decide in the busy times when the business is flourishing and people are literally it's money calling, during the slow times, that's not how it is. You're having to scrape the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
You're having to struggle and, pull things out of people. And for every deal you get, it's a tough time. The off season, that's where, people should be feeling stressed out, or they feel defeated sometimes. But if you're in AEP and you're feeling stressed out, or you're not making any money or something,
you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, that's an indicator of, yeesh, these are the fun times. Yes, it's stressful a little bit and overwhelming, but this is the money making time. And if you can't even make money during the money making time, you're gonna have a real tough time during the off season. So I think that's a good indicator. I think every agent should go through an AEP and see how they handle it
before they make their decision.
Yeah, exactly. It'll tell you if it'll kind of show to you yourself, reveal to you if you feel like you can make it in this business, right? Because it's also not only is it a test of how you can handle the stress and juggle different things, multiple things in the air at the same time, but also how you can handle clients who have odd situations, because this is when they come call in when they have a weird situation or they have health issues. You know, can you troubleshoot through that? Also, can you manage your pipeline, and can you manage all the contracts that are coming through, problems that eventually will happen with those? Can you fix those and deal with that? And on top of everything else, and on top of your emotions that you have with juggling a family life balance during this time. So I think it's a real test. And I think personally, I think you're handling it really well as far as I can tell.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm really happy about that. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting time for sure for the emotional aspect of it. That's why I bring it up, because even though the guys may not bring up this topic, I think it's still a very, very important one, because there's all kinds of emotions running high. And whether you want to talk about it or not, it's a fact. It absolutely is. So unless you had anything else to add to that.
No, I would just say, like, dealing with stress and, like, all that, like, you can't handle what comes your way, but you can just handle how you deal with it.
Exactly.
That's how I look at it. Like, yeah, I might get thrown a whole bunch of stuff on top of my plate. That's great. But I can't take anything off or add anything. Whatever happens, happens.
Exactly. There's no way to ever eliminate stress, but you can manage it, right? And everybody manages it differently. And I think that's a make or break for this business for sure. And I think you're learning that. Absolutely, which is a great lesson to learn early on. So I think that'll make you a successful agent for sure. But yeah, I think that's a great place to wrap it up. So definitely, like I said, feelings and emotions are an important part of AEP and managing those things to be a successful agent. So that's why I'm glad we brought up this topic today. Anyways, I have been Victoria Lewis, and that is our dojo today. And say hi to your mom for me. That's my tagline.